Hey man, what's up, y'all? This your boy Willie Lynch Jr., the traveling black vegan. Only ye day. We back for another episode, a special episode, all the way live with Willie Lynch Jr., the dopest podcast on the net right now. I got an amazing guest today, man. You guys heard me talk about Sebi, because I'm a follower of the teachings, and I love the brother. I love his spirit. This is one of my Orishas now. And today, I wanted to bring a special guest, somebody who knew Sebi up close and personal for over 20 years. This is his confidant, this is his sidekick, this is his road dog, man. We got a special guest coming today to settle the story, to settle, to get y'all the right game, because there's a bunch of misconceptions. We got Pablo Medina in the building today. Yeah, so y'all tune in. Tune in.
Let me tell you something. They wiped me out in February last year. When I went to my shop, there was nothing in there.
Wow.
My wife, my manager, my daughter, the manager's daughter, and everybody else wiped and took everything away.
Wow.
A business that I had now for 15 years. Pablo, the Mexican, said, "What you gonna do?" I said, "Well, I'm gonna take my tail and put between my legs and I'm gonna roll over and play dead." He said, "You out of your mind?" Called Jenny. That's a Mexican. Jenny came, "What's wrong?" I said, "Well, they took out everything." She called her mom and borrowed some money and thought with her computer. That very day, this one showed up. Your nano shows up. What happened? I said, "I don't know." Your nano showed up with her boyfriend, said, in a car. And I'm looking at this girl. I know she looked like Ethiopian, but she came to buy something. You came to buy, right? And it's clean. Guess what your nano said? "I want to help you." Your dad would drive from San Bernardino to LA, which is about an hour and a half for free working for me. Then came her. These two and Jenny and Pablo and we started the business all over again.
Beautiful.
Now the business is like, wow.
Y'all know that I'm a follower of the teachings of Dr. Sebi. And the guy that I got with me today, this was Sebi's right-hand man for years. For years, man. This is the homie, man. Pablo Medina. Y'all show some love for Pablo Medina. Clap it up, everybody. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. Pablo, what's up, man?
How you doing? Thank you for having me.
Oh man, thank you for coming to sit down with me, man.
Of course.
This look, I told y'all I got legends, bro. I got a legend right here, man. Look, and we gonna get to all of that. But Pablo, again, thanks, man. Where you coming from? You got that from LA?
That's right, from LA. Flew in last night.
And you before then you were out the country, weren't you?
What do you mean recently?
No, I thought when I hit you up, you said you were you was traveling in the U.S.
Yeah, I was traveling in the U.S.
Oh, I thought you was back home in Puerto Rico or something like that.
No, I'm from Mexico.
Yes, black people think all y'all the same. So what's going on, man? You were close to the one and only Dr. Sebi.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we knew each other and worked with each other for over 20 years before he passed. So I got to know the man pretty well.
Okay, so tell me about that. How did you meet him? How did you end up meeting one of the greatest black men to ever walk the face of the earth, man? How did that happen?
Okay, I love when people ask me that question. Um, well, it started because I was having health issues. I was around 25 years old at that time, and I was experiencing, these ailments that I didn't know why this was happening to me. I mean, I was young, and maybe it was because I was partying too much and living the life on the fast lane.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that had something to do with it. And also I didn't know it at the time, but the food. But so the way I met Sebi, I found out about Sebi from a friend. He was my neighbor. We were friends, and he knew about Sebi, so he told me about him because I was looking for something natural that would help me with my problems. So I started to look into Dr. Sebi, and then eventually Sebi came to LA and had a seminar, and we went to go see him. And when I heard him speak, after the seminar was done, I was like, that's it. That's the answer right there. That's the answer to my problems. I just felt it in my heart. I was like, that's it. And I was happy. And so then I went to his office right there on Washington in LA, on Washington Boulevard. And I went over there to get, purchase some products. And I was there really early in the morning, like at opening time. Early in the morning, I knocked on the door, and Sebi opened the door right away. He was like, man, I was standing right on the other side when you knocked. And he was laughing, and he was like, hey, are you Mexican? And I was like, yeah, I'm Mexican. And he was like, oh, I love Mexicans. And he started telling me about his adventures and his experiences in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So then he was, he took me in, and we hit it off like right away. It was like we were homies like instantly. And then that same day he was like, hey, do you smoke? And I was like, hell yeah, I smoke. And he was like, come on, let's go upstairs. And then we went up there, and we stayed up there for hours, and we were just talking. When we were upstairs, he also asked me to see if I could find this particular herb for him. I had heard about it before, but I didn't know that it could be used in the way that he was using it, which was the mushrooms. So then I was like, well, I don't really know much about him, but I'm sure I could find it through one of my homies, somehow. So he was like, all right, give me a call if you can get a hold of some. So then the next day I called him back, and I was like, hey, Sebi, I got some mushrooms for you. And he was like, all right, come on down. So I went back, and he paid me the money and whatever. And then he was like, yeah, I want this. I want to heal this woman with this. She was there. She was a lady that was working there at that time. And he made up a batch with some orange juice, and he blended, put in the blender,
Mm-hmm.
and then he gave a cup to one of the girls. And this other lady was sitting next to her, and she was like, can I have some too, Dr. Sebi? But she didn't know what it was. She had no idea. She just thought it was some herbs, some medicine somehow. So he was like, you want to take some? And she was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, okay, you need some. So then he gave her a glass as well.
Yeah.
The other woman that he was giving it to first was, she knew what it was. She was expecting, some reaction from it. But the other lady that asked for it, she had no idea, she didn't know what she was getting into. So after that, I was like, hey, Sebi, I had never tried mushrooms myself. can you give me a little bit, so I could see what it's about? And he was like, oh, you want to try some too? And he was like, all right. And then he just like smiled at me and he was like, here. And I took them, and about an hour later, I was feeling cool. I was relaxed. I was nice. But one of the girls, the one that didn't have any idea what she was taking, she started crying and she started screaming and she was like calling Jesus. And that's all she did for like over 2 hours. She was just crying, calling for Jesus. And at first, when she was doing that, because I had taken the mushrooms too. And I was like, man, I hope I don't get like that. But I was cool. He gave me a small dose.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was chilling. I was just chill. But she was like really, like it was overwhelming for her. And she was okay, Sebi was saying that she was overreacting and that she needed that because she had like, she tried to control everything and she needed to let go of that.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, she this is gonna help her. So then after that, I saw her again one more time and I asked her about it and she goes, I don't remember anything. Which sounds like bullshit to me because I've experienced mushrooms many times and I always remember everything.
Yeah.
No matter how intense it was, I always remember everything. That's what it does. It makes you remember things that you didn't even know happened to you. And Sebi told me that when the first time he gave me the mushrooms, he was like, look, man, this stuff is going to show you God. And he said, this is going to take you back to when you were a little kid. And I've heard people have experiences where they say they remember when they were in their mom's stomach. Yeah. Many times I've talked to people that used it,
Yeah.
and then they say that they remember when they were kids. I've experienced that. Where it takes me back to when I was a little toddler. And I never knew that I had done that stuff. I would see myself playing and I could feel exactly what I was feeling at that moment. You understand?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff. You need to be careful. You do need to be careful with it because it's very powerful. And some people, not that they can't handle it, but they're going to have an experience to where they're not going to ever want to do it again.
Yeah.
Like first timers, they take too much and then it freaks them out. And then they never want to touch the stuff again. Start slow and find out what it's about first. And then, you gauge yourself.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it, So anyway, yeah, that's how I met Sebi. That was the beginning.
So one thing I did ask, now where are you from?
Who?
Where are you from?
I was born in Mexico.
What part? And how you end up in Puerto Rico? Now what part of Mexico, bro?
I was born in Zacatecas, Mexico.
Okay.
It's like one of the northern states. It's a beautiful place. And I was brought here when I was like 4.5 years old. So I was raised here. I grew up in LA. And I currently live in Gardena.
Okay. Now you Wicho Indian?
There's some of that in our blood, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So grew up in LA. And so now, because one thing I do know about you, I met you in 2013. I was out in LA. I was auditioning for the Shaquille O'Neal All-Star Tour.
Right, I remember.
Man, I went
You were wearing your suspenders.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I was out there kind of clean. But
Yeah.
I went to the LA office because by this time I had been a follower of Sebi's for about 3 or 4 months. And I had just gone on my vegan journey. And then, so I said, damn, I'm out in LA. Let me go see if I can go to Dr. Sebi's office. And then I I had gone there. I think I was with my boy K Dub. He's a comedian out of Atlanta, and I was looking for Sebi, but he wasn't there. And I bought a few products, and I met you,
Right.
and we talked for a quick second. Then you gave me your number, and I kind of kept in touch over the years.
Right. Right.
And what we talking about earlier, I remember when I was at my ex-girlfriend's parents' house, and they're from Guyana, so they eat a lot of Indian dishes. They eat a lot of curry, and I texted you. I said, "Hey, bro," I said, "Is turmeric good? Is it a good herb?" And then you told me it wasn't. So tell me about turmeric quickly, if you can.
Yeah, well, I mean, to start with, it's a hybrid, so we have no business messing with that. But it will affect your liver, and you know, it could bring on jaundice and things like that. You need to leave that alone. You know, we have too many things that are good that we could be using, but I think the problem is that we're not educated. We don't know about them. We're not informed about what to use. It could be in your backyard growing for free,
Yeah.
you know, and it's natural. People call them weeds, but it's really free food that you're throwing away. Real food, not the stuff that you get in the supermarkets. You know, they're 90% of that stuff, 99% of that stuff is hybrid. The best we can do is just go with the lesser evil of the hybrids. You know, some fruits and vegetables and herbs have been messed with so much and manipulated that where it's just poison.
Yeah.
Some of them, they've been manipulated, but not to, you know, to the extent where it's gonna be harmful. You know, like avocados are hybrid. You know, and they're okay. They're still safe.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, 99% of the stuff in the stores, in the supermarkets in America, hybrid, all of them, every last one of them. And the ones that are you might have a better chance with are like berries, mushrooms, most mushrooms. You want to stay away from those white ones and the shiitakes.
So why stay away from the white ones? Like the button mushrooms, they're no good?
They're hybrids. You don't find those growing in nature. There's white mushrooms in nature. There's there's hundreds of thousands of different varieties of species and varieties of mushrooms.
Yeah.
And a lot of them look alike. You know, it's a big field. And I love mushrooms. You know, I like to eat them. I like to look at them. You know, and I've cultivated them, and I love learning about them.
So shiitake, what's besides being hybrid? Because I know that's one he said don't mess with.
Yeah, it's a hybrid. I mean, they're not really that bad, but the better choice is to leave that alone.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've noticed that, but like those white ones, they won't dry up. They rot. And yeah, usually natural plants, you can dry them and, you know, preserve them naturally.
Okay. That's deep. Damn it. Because I've been reading Paul's statements. I don't know if you know Paul's statements.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah, I've been because I watched Fantastic Fungi.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with. I've been messing with mushrooms for a while. I even named my youngest son. His name is Ayan Olutunde, and his middle name Olutunde means God has returned in Yoruba, and Olu also
Nice.
means mushroom, because Olu means God in Yoruba, and it also means mushroom, which made me realize that these mushrooms, there's something about them.
That reminds me of Mexico. there's a mushroom in Mexico that grows wild.
Mhm.
It's a psychedelic mushroom. It's called teonanacat, which means flesh of the gods. So that's a good.
Say that again, because I like when y'all speak Puerto Rican. I look say that shit again.
It's teonanacat.
Tananakat. Wow, and that's a
It's a little
psychedelic.
mushroom. It has a white stem and a yellow top.
So like going back, staying on mushrooms. This is my little mushroom now. I remember watching Sebi on the first video that I came in contact with him about. It's called "How to Eat to Live, Not to Die," and he was talking about the Stropharia cubensis and how that mushroom allowed the people, I believe in Swaziland, you know, to keep from being colonized because they could see the Europeans coming. And like I told Mr. G, I literally thought he was exaggerating. And it wasn't until I watched Paul Stament's documentary and he started talking about the Stropharia cubensis that I realized that these things are potent. And what I found out, one of the things I found, they have a lot of phosphorus in them. So them psychedelics ain't no joke, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I've been messing with the mushrooms ever since that day I met Sebi.
Yeah.
You know, and I've personally experienced some things where it was like I can't explain it in words. And some people don't believe me when I say that. They're like, "Oh, you're just imagining that." But I know what you mean. Like you could foresee things sometimes,
Yeah.
and it's like you kind of like you can time travel. You can go back to the past or the future. You know, I mean, I've gone to other dimensions, so anything's possible.
So they turn you into Marty
I
McFly.
died and came back.
Ooh. See, I don't want to go there.
Marty McFly.
Yeah. Doc Brown.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that one time I had taken this large dose and I started feeling something that I had never felt before because I had been doing them for a long time and I would take strong doses
Yeah.
and I was cool. But that one time, I think I went a little too far and I started feeling like something that I'd never felt before on the mushrooms. So then it was like something very intense and it was uneasy. It was very uneasy. And in my mind, I just said, you know what? I don't think I'm going to make it out of this one. It's too much for me. It's too strong. So then I was kind of fighting it at first, like, okay, it's going to go. I'm going to get past it, but then it was just getting more intense. I lost my vision and I was kind of like having a hard time breathing. And I was like, all right. So then I accepted it. I was like, okay, so this is how I'm going to go. I was like, bring it on. This is it. So then once I thought that, next thing you know, there was a wall of light next to me. And I was standing up. And then like all of a sudden I went into the light. I went into that wall of light. And then once I was in there, I didn't really have a body. It was just my conscience. But at that moment, I felt this peace and love. It was like warm. And I felt like this protection. I knew that nothing would help me. Nothing would hurt me in there. Nothing was going to hurt me. I just knew it. It was a safe place. And then I was like, okay, this is how it is to be dead. And I was like, I don't mind staying here. I was like, this is nice. Because I felt like this love, and it was really intense.
Man.
And you know what it was like?
What?
It was like having an orgasm that doesn't stop.
Ooh. Real sex.
Yeah, man. And then it was just this love and like comfort in there. And it was like warm. And then I could sense that there was more. I was like at the edge of it. I could sense that there was more to it, like beyond from where I was standing. But then I remembered about this life. I was like, wait a minute. I still have this life over here. And then I was like, wait. I was like, no, I have things to do back there still. I can't stay. It's not my time yet. And then once I thought that, bam, the light went away. And I was back in my room. And I was like, what the? I was like, what? I never had experienced anything like that. Or since, you know.
And which mushroom was that?
It was the psychedelic mushrooms.
But okay, I know you mentioned the one that was in Mexico.
Yeah, they call them golden caps. They're the ones that you get a hold of here in the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah, in Mexico they have many different varieties, and they have them growing wild around in the U.S. as well. But you could either, they have them. People cultivate them.
Are the cultivated ones safe?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're good.
Okay.
If anything, they're not gonna do anything. They won't be as potent. They're not gonna hurt you.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what it did for me, man. Because I had done them a couple times. I told you about the last time. Bro, I was at the crib tripping. And I kept on saying, shove it, shove it, shove it, shove it, shove it. Bro, I said it probably 1,000 times. And I couldn't stop. And at first I thought I was playing. And I was at the crib watching my boy, Ali Sadiq. And he actually just texted me when we was on the way here. But his new special had just come out on YouTube. So I'm at the crib. I had got my mom together. So I went home. I'm sitting on the couch watching the special. And I ate a whole big one. And KT told me to eat it on an empty stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Because he said, if you don't, they're going to use this, mushroom going to be used as a laxative. So it's going to have to work twice. So, pushing stuff out your stomach, then get into your brain. So I didn't eat. And bro, I got to tripping, sweating.
Yeah, sweating.
Like I'm watching this TV and everything is in 3D.
Yawning.
Yeah. I'm talking about crying, bro.
Yeah.
I was crying more and I wasn't like boo-hooing, but my eyes
Your eyes watering, yeah. That's your body's cleansing itself. Wherever you can expel something through, it's gonna come out. That's why you sweat.
Yeah.
You cry. You'll cough things up, sneeze them out.
I kept peeing.
You shit it out. Yeah, you pee a lot.
And then I kept thinking.
You could throw up too.
Hey, I kept thinking the floor had a bunch of lava on it. So I'm running to the bathroom and I'm on tiptoeing trying not to get my ankles burnt. But I'm tripping, bro. And some said, cut the TV off, cut all the lights off, because I heard you be sensitive to light. Especially artificial light.
Yeah.
So I got in the bed and I'm up under the cover and I just, chef it. I just stopped saying
Man, you were on a good one, huh?
But I go to sleep and I wake up. Some say, get up and just walk around. And I get up and I pass out. I kept waking up on the floor. Then I get up and go get back in the bed and I kept doing it. Then eventually it went away, but.
Yeah. After like what, 6 or 8 hours?
It was about, because I think I took it probably about like 10:30 at night.
Oh, you didn't sleep that whole night, huh?
I couldn't.
Yeah.
And like I go to sleep and I wake back up.
Yeah.
Because
it gives you energy as well. After a certain stage of it passes, then you get energy. You go through several different stages.
One of the things it did for me about 1.5 years ago was it felt like it reworked my personality.
Oh, you're definitely not going to be the same. There's going to be an improvement in you. Yeah.
Yeah, I was mean.
You know what I mean?
I could be real sarcastic. Like I got fans. I'm an entertainer. And I'm forgetting that these people are my followers, my fans. And I'll post something and they'll say something contrary to what I said. And instead of me just being silly, I would be a jerk. And then I was, I'm very provocative. So I would say and post things on social media to try to get people riled up. But for a good reason, because I want to teach them. But I get ready to post something. They call it gaslighting.
Yeah.
I get ready to post something that's finna gaslight everybody on Instagram. I felt like the mushrooms like, bro, you don't need to do that. Nah, don't post that right now.
It'll definitely set your priorities in line. It shows you what really matters.
Yeah.
You have some kind of problem. After you experience the mushrooms, you're like, why am I tripping? That's not really that important, for me to be sweating it like that. It shows you what really matters.
Yeah.
It makes you compassionate. It changes you. After my experience that I just mentioned, I was not afraid of death anymore. I was like, if that's what it's like, I'm looking forward to it. When is my time?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to push anything. But And I've heard other accounts of people that had near life experiences exactly the same, where they actually died, like medically,
Mm-hmm.
and were under flatline for minutes, and they describe a lot of stuff. When I hear that, I'm like, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's a little too extreme for me, Pablo. I'm
Yeah,
not
well,
trying.
I mean, that's just my observation,
Yeah, yeah.
my experience and my observation. That's all I go up by, you know.
Now going on terms of psychedelics, tell us about the cactus. What about like peyote? It's another one, peyote, and another one that I've heard.
Yeah, peyote. There's San
San
Pedro.
Pedro.
Yeah,
Yeah. So tell me about
that one's
those.
from South America.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one too. It's similar to peyote. They're all similar in some ways, but you know they do have their different
What's the difference between those and the
effects.
mushrooms?
What's that?
What's the difference between the mushrooms and the cactus?
Well, the effects are different, and the potency is different. Uh, yeah, the experience is just different. They're all medicine. They're all gonna do something to get rid of whatever the problem is, like the mushrooms and the peyote. But with the mushrooms, I've had more experience with the mushrooms more than anything else.
Yeah.
I've had peyote many times, and the peyote just kind of like amplifies your senses. Like you can hear shit from down the street.
What you say about my mom?
Yeah, and Sebi said that too because one time I brought some for him, and I gave him some, and he was like, "Man," he goes, "I could hear like what was going on like down a couple houses down. It amplifies your senses and like you could see better
Yeah.
and feel like you could just sense, vibes, people, you could read them. And okay, so the peyotes one is great. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful experience. Then the peyote, I'm sorry, the San Pedro. I haven't had much experience with that one. I've had it before, but not to the extent where I was gonna have a trip where I know what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of mild, and it's a lot like the peyote. But I found out that the San Pedro helps with your eyes, your vision. Yeah, and your digestion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps with your digestion. Everybody that's tried it mentions that, and I be mixing them all together.
And be tripping, boo tripping and shit. And
Like like I always love uh, experimenting with different uh, combinations of herbs.
Yeah.
So I've tried many things, and always working at it. It's an ongoing process, and that's what I miss about Sebi, man. That we had our products that were set, that were for sale, and they were just always the same. It was the same stuff. But then Sebi would make up these batches of herbs that were just like stuff that he would just make up that day, or something that he had been thinking about that he wanted to try, and then he would make a big batch, and I would go with him to the store, to the herb shop to go buy the herbs, and then we'd make a small batch, and then he would give it away to the people that came into the office, and it was those are good, beautiful memories that I had with Sebi. It was always all the memories with Sebi were beautiful. Every time I was with that man, it was never a dull moment.
So that's what I want to know. Tell me some stories about Sebi. You know, like for people who are still skeptics, because a lot of my friends on Facebook for years didn't believe that he actually was who he was and that he actually was healing people. Like, tell me some stuff about Sebi that'll kind of amplify the fact that he was who, you know, he was claiming to be.
Uh, well, I mean, what can I say? I mean, I knew him, and I knew without a doubt that he was. I mean, if his healing is in question, I can attest to it. You know, I can give my testimony because I got healed by him. As I mentioned earlier, I ran into him because I was looking for some help because of my health problems. So once I met him, I talked to Sebi about him. I go, hey, I'm having some health problems, you know? And he was like, what's wrong? And I never went to the doctor. I never was diagnosed with anything because even at that point, I wasn't really into nature like I am now. But I knew that nature was going to be the answer. So then I started seeking it out, like learning about herbs. Before I met Sebi, I had already been into herbs, not at the level that I would get to in the future, but I was just starting. And when I met Sebi, he gave me the foundation that I needed to just take it and run, you know. So, yeah. So when I met Sebi, he said, don't worry about it. It was like nothing to him. To me, it was like a big deal because it was me. I was the one sick,
Yeah.
you know, going through this. So he was like, yeah, don't worry. He goes, just take this. And then, you know, I followed up with the diet and everything. And man, like right away, I started feeling better. And I had all kinds of symptoms. My visions was deteriorating. It was like blurry, and I had stuff in my eyes. It was mucus, you know, in my eyes, and it was like blurry. My circulation was fucked up. It was like I couldn't sit like for long periods of time, like in one position because my legs would go numb,
Yeah.
or even like my arm. If I would lay, if my arm would go numb. You know, I had to like, it was uncomfortable, and I had like pains, like you know, like on my legs and you know around my body. I had like no energy, like I mean no energy. If I sat somewhere for about 5 minutes, I would like start nodding off and falling asleep.
Yeah.
And I just had no energy, you know. And so then I lost a lot of weight. You know, I've always been skinny. You know, even before that, I've already been thin. So, but at that point, I've lost even more weight. And people were like, "Hey, man, are you all right? What's wrong? You know, you're really skinny." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I'm not doing good." You know. So, when after I met Sebi, I started taking the product and following his recommendations and everything. And within a year, everything was gone. All those problems that I had, gone. And I was strong and I felt good. I was better than even before when I was a teenager. Because you know, it had to have started like around when I was a teenager. I remember wouldn't have much energy and stuff. By the time I was 25, I was fucked up. I was sick.
Yeah.
So you know, after doing all that, I felt better than even when I was a teenager, man. I was like a teenager again. So I you know, I had already admired Sebi from the get go because when I heard him speak, I was like, man, that's some great information. This is, you know, I totally believed it. I had faith in it, and you know that also helps too when you have faith. You know, if you're doing something because somebody forces you to do it, it's like a break. It holds you back.
Yeah.
You're not gonna benefit from it like you should. You know, you need to be positive, keep a good vibe, and just do what you do and enjoy yourself. You know, enjoy life. you know. So I can say I'm the first one. I'm the first example of what Sebi can do. So then we became friends, you know. We were family. You know, he treated me just like family. And eventually I started working with him. So within those 20 years that I knew him, I worked on and off with him for, you know, like I would work for him for a couple years and then leave for a few years because I left for about 4 years at one point because I went to study fine arts. I like painting and drawing and stuff.
Okay, I think I saw that on Facebook. I didn't know that was your stuff though.
Yeah. So uh, I that was another one of my passions. It had always been my passion since I was a kid. But then when I discovered the herbs, that became my passion as well. So I had two. But then I also wanted to develop my art because I didn't feel comfortable with what I was doing. So I thought that I needed more training for it, which I received, and I went, and it made a big difference.
Yeah.
So then I came back. I didn't become an artist. I came back with Sebi and continued working with what I'm still doing now. And but besides my testimony, since I've worked with him, I saw many people come, family members, friends, that I would give him stuff, and then their ailment would leave. You know,
Like
and
any specific diseases that you can?
I mean, there's been many. I mean, I have a friend that he has a lot of health issues. He's overweight and he eats whatever, you know, and I've been telling him for years, like, hey, you need to change this, you know, your diet. You're overweight and it's problems. He already had problems ever since we were like in the early 20s. So we're 55 years old now, and he's in bad shape. But a few years ago, he was like, you know, he was having problems with his health. So he was like, then he came to me and he was like, hey, do you have anything for you know, for his bowels? He couldn't go to the bathroom. So then I gave him some chelation, and then he was like, yeah, man, that shit works. And then it gave him some relief, you know. And then later on, he had congestive heart failure, and when you have that, you swell up,
Yeah.
and his legs were like really swollen to where his skin was splitting apart. You know what I mean? And then he would bleed and ooze liquid from it, like some fluid.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, you know, that he didn't look right. But I was walking behind him one day and I saw the splits on the back of his leg where he was like bleeding and like fluid coming out of it. And I was like, hey, you know, your leg is bleeding. And he was like, yeah, I know, man, it's my congestive heart failure. And then his skin was all like messed up. And I was like, hey, I go, you know what, man? I have some stuff for you. Will you take it if I bring it for you? And he was like, yeah, I need it. So I went and I gave him some Cáscara Sagrada, a bottle like this. I was like, here, just drink all of that. And then he drank it. And I also gave him some Lupulo. And I go, drink that whole fucking bottle. And he downed it. And then the next day, he sent me a picture of his legs. And he was like, check this out. You notice anything different? His legs went down. You know, and yeah, I mean, the herbs are powerful. All the herbs that Sebi used were powerful, and they did the work. They did the job, and Sebi knew it. He knew how to administer it and how to combine them.
Yeah.
And what to give and how much to give to people. And yeah, I mean, and you know, at the office, there's people that went in there with high blood pressure, couldn't get it down, and we would recommend stuff for them. Sometimes what we would recommend wouldn't work. So then, if it doesn't work after a while, then you have to try other things. There's thousands of herbs out in the world, and just because one of them didn't do it doesn't mean there's no cure for you. You have to keep looking, and you have to know yourself. That's what I always say, is you have to get to know yourself, because you're going to react to the herb different than I would. Maybe it would help you, but it might not do anything for me.
Yeah.
So I have to keep looking. There's something out there for everything. There's something out there for everybody and every disease. You just have to find it. Keep searching. It's an ongoing process, whether you're learning or trying to find the cure. And that's what I love about it, though, that being a student of nature, you're never gonna say, "Oh yeah, well, I got it all. I don't need anything else." No, there's more things to uncover. As I was mentioning to you earlier, even if you know an herb for 10 years, you know what it's for, whatever, and it's been proven and everything, sometimes you'll find out things that you didn't know, that other things that herb could do.
Give me an example.
Let me see. Which ones did I find out about? Prodigiosa. You know that one?
Yeah, for diabetes.
Okay. Yeah, that one, yeah, is good for many things. Take it internally. It's good for your your stomach, your digestive system.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for your liver. It's a bitter herb. I mean, it's bitter. It's nasty. It's very hard to drink if you're drinking it like in a tea. But I learned this from Sebi. We were making we were improving this product that we had one time. It was the eye wash.
Mm-hmm.
So for the eye wash, we used euphrasia, and we were like, okay, let's put something else in there. And then Sebi was like, okay, we were like, what could we put in there for the eyes? And then Sebi said, prodigiosa. He goes, first he said, what cleanses you? Then he goes, okay, put prodigiosa in it. And I was like, it'll work? And he was like, hell yeah, it'll work. I mean, there's many things, like chaparral.
That's potent.
Yeah. It's good for your skin.
Yeah.
Blue vervain is good for your skin. Those are herbs that for a long time, I knew that it was good for, your kidneys. Chaparral is good for your kidneys, for your blood. But then I found out that it was good for your skin too.
Now, why do they say the chaparral is bad?
Because maybe they're taking too much. If you take it by itself, it is powerful, it's strong.
Yeah.
But if you take a small amount combined with other herbs, it changes it. It helps the other. It enhances the other herbs. If you take chaparral alone for a long time or in high doses for a long time, yeah, it could be a problem. Just without herbs. With everything's like that.
I learned, and I could be tripping, but its name is Laurea tridenta. That's chaparral, scientific name.
Okay.
And then I, noticing the taste has a minty taste, was good for the gums. I believe that's where the gum, trident, that's one of the active ingredients in there. Because when I got serious about herbs, I started to learn that the stuff that we've been consuming, the commercial products,
yeah,
they use plant ingredients.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
But you said about how it magnifies other herbs. That's what I read about one of my favorite herbs ever.
It enhances it. Or
sarsaparilla.
Yeah. Sarsaparilla.
Yeah, it's a book that I got, and Mr. G told me that this is one of the books Sebi read. In the book, it talks about, it said that sarsaparilla is they call it an adjuvant, meaning that it magnifies the potency of other herbs. So if
Yeah.
you put it with other herbs, it just. So can
Yeah.
you speak to that at all?
Yeah, it's the Sebi used to say that the iron is like a magnet.
Yeah.
It attracts the other herbs, the other minerals, and it helps them work better. They help each other out,
Yeah.
It enhances it. Because I remember one time Sebi was mixing some stuff in a blender, or not a blender, a pulverizer.
Mm-hmm.
It was a small one. He would put like some herbs in there, and like a few different herbs, and then pulverize it, and then he's trying different formulas. And then one time he put some herbs in there. He was putting some herbs in there, and there was like powder residue in there still from the previous batch that he made.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told him, I pointed it out. I was like, hey, there's still some residue of the chaparral in there. And then he was like, that's all right. It's going to enhance what I'm doing with now. He goes, it's going to enhance it. So he knew what he was doing. And I was like, okay. So then, I learned from him. And it wasn't, with Sebi, it wasn't like he said, oh, I'm teaching you, I just learned it as we spent time with each other, working with each other. I just picked up things from him and from everybody. We all learn from each other, and that's why I like support you, because, I like it when you come and ask me about certain things. I can feel that you're real. So I'm like, yes, I'll help you out. I'm giving you some information, and I'm doing it because I know you're real and your heart is in it and you want to help people. And that's what it's about. It's the work. It's not about who you say you are, or, who you say somebody else is. It doesn't matter, man. We're all here together. We need to look out for each other. There's too many people that need help.
So that's a good transition I want to get to. And I want to take a quick break so we can pay some bills right quick, and then we're going to come back with our last segment with Pablo Medina. Y'all show some love to Pablo, man. We're going to break the internet with this one, man. The Mexican from Puerto Rico with the mushrooms. We'll be right back, y'all. Hey y'all, look, man, we back. I got a special guest in the building. Some of y'all may know him, most of y'all probably don't. But I've known him since he got here, man. This is my little dog, man. Look, come to the stage. Y'all show some love, man. We got a special guest, just finished the second grade, man. What's up, man? Here, get on the mic, man. Tell them who you are. Just say a few things. Who you are, what's your name, your whole name. Don't tell them your last name. Tell them what you do, what you love, and yeah, talking to the microphone.
Hello, everyone. I love that I get to go on my father's podcast. My name is Dejuan Onide Sebi, and I am 8 years old, and I just finished second grade. And more about me. My name is basically in African. My first name, Adejuan, means the crown is greater than them. And my second name, Oniyide, it means here comes the dignified one. And my last name, I'm named after Dr. Sebi. Well, if you know about him, yeah, that's who I'm named after.
Now, who's Dr. Sebi? What did he used to do, man? Tell me something real quick. Who was he, man?
He was an herbalist, just like my father.
And he was one of the greatest who?
One of the greatest black men that ever lived.
All right. So lastly, what's the new thing? You like coins and stuff, right? What's your favorite things? What type of coins you like?
One of my two favorite coins is the penny and the Morgan dollar.
Like the one you lost that your dad gave you and you better just now found it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I want you to say hi to your mommy, your baby brother, and your nana. And then we're going to go.
Guys, if you guys are watching, I'm just going to say hello. And I am so glad I get to be here with my father. I love you.
Oh, cut. Come here and give me a hug, man. Okay. Hey, man, we back, man. Okay, I forgot to mention, this podcast, this show is brought to you guys by osainsbotanicals.com. Go and get your herbs. Go get your life together. Brothers, get that jog on and save your marriage. Because that limp thing is not going to work for that woman. But anyway, we back, man, with my special guest today, my homie, my partner, the OG, the triple OG, the mushroom man itself, Pablo Medina. What's up, Pablo? We back, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to get into a few more things I want to talk about. And one of them is the state of healing now. Like, since Sebi has been gone, what have you noticed? Because I know what we talked about on the way here. It's like all these people have popped up out of nowhere. And like you said, they just making up shit. Like, what do you see going on?
Okay. One thing that's very obvious to me is that there's a lot of healers now.
Mm-hmm.
They claim to be healers, or they call themselves healers. There's so many of them, and then they're just like going about it in a way where it's not nice. I have no problem with anybody wanting to pursue that field, because it's a beautiful field, and the problem that I see with it is that these people are cloning. For example, they're like cloning Dr. Sebi's voice and then making it say whatever they want to promote their product or their ideas or whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why would you go about it like that? And then they even animate characters that look like Sebi. I mean, it's crazy, And again, that's why I respect you, because you're going about it in a respectful manner, and I admire that. I will support you for that. These other clowns, they're not going to last, because people are going to be able to see eventually. There's going to be so much bullshit out there that the real ones are going to be obvious.
Yeah.
But for now, that's what I see. All these people, using Dr. Sebi's name, his image, his voice, and then another thing that's bad is that they use his voice like that, and then they recommend things that Sebi never recommended. And it's like, Sebi never recommended that. I mean, anybody that really follows Dr. Sebi's teachings would see that. Those people will see it. But people that don't know, about the real Sebi, they won't know. And
Yeah.
they're going to be deceived. Deception. You don't go about trying to be a healer deceiving people, you know? It's not nice. But yeah, it's crazy out there, you know? I'm just like, man, this is ridiculous.
Like for a perfect example is this guy. He's telling people to drink celery juice
Yeah,
and beets and
right.
all of these, cucumbers. This gonna heal anything. Like, what would you say to something like that?
I usually don't respond to negative shit
Yeah.
because I'm not even going to give it that energy. You know, I mean, I'll just make it plain and simple. That's bullshit. That's not, first of all, Dr. Sebi never, if you're going to use Dr. Sebi's name, at least do it right. You know,
Yeah.
at least do it right. That's what I would say. You're wrong. You're wrong. And that's it. I just tell them straight to the point.
Yeah, I asked because, again, from what I know about Sebi and from what I've learned in the short time that I've been messing with these herbs, is the way to heal is mostly through fasting and using native plants to cleanse and revitalize the body. So if you're telling somebody that you can heal by drinking the juice from celery, which according to Sebi has a high concentration of inorganic sodium,
Right.
and it's a hybrid, like how then could somebody heal? Like that's again like I told you when I was watching the Breakfast Club a while back, and I saw some of Sebi's family on there, and I'm like, I'm all excited, but then I started listening with different ear. I said, I don't know if they actually know what they're talking about, because one of his kids, she was on there talking about moringa. And I've heard Sebi multiple times. The first video interview that I saw, or lecture, he was talking about moringa being a hybrid.
Yeah.
So why then are you following after your dad, but you're telling everybody to use something that he said was a no-no? And then the other thing is sea moss. Like I'm seeing everybody sell sea moss, and they selling this fat sea moss with all this salt on it, and they putting fruit in it.
Yeah.
What do you think about that fad?
Well, I mean, the thing about all those people is that they didn't come out when Sebi was still here. Nobody knew they even existed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
nobody had ever heard of them. They were not active in any of the things that they're doing now. You know, it was after Sebi passed was when now they came out and say, "Oh, I have the right to do this," and you know, I'm the one that knows everything. So they pretty much just do what they want, and people believe it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a shame because, but I understand they don't know. People don't know any better, so they just go by what is presented to them, and I understand. But that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm going to come back and clear some things up. You know.
Speaking of clearing something up, I remember, and I don't know if you used to see this, but I remember when I first started, I was just doing meal plans. Like I was literally designing people's plans, in terms of what to eat, what type of water, when to drink it, how much, the different foods, etc. And I would always have them buying herbs from the site, from you guys, from Dr. Sebi Cell Food.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept hearing people saying, well, the LA office has been compromised. Like they kept saying that.
Right.
And I knew it wasn't the case. So what is your I want you to respond to that, number one. Number two, what is your relationship with Dr. Sebi Cell Food?
Okay. Right now, I'm co-owner of Dr. Sebi Cell Food. Jenny and I own and run the business that was left by Dr. Sebi. We've all three of us started this business after the business that he had with his wife was that business was the one that was compromised. She took all. Well, you saw the video where he was talking about that his wife took everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one morning, Sebi and I arrived at the office, and we walked into the building, and everything was gone. All the equipment, all the product, all the supplies, all the computers, tables, chairs, it was a totally empty building. I was walking through there going, what the fuck is it? I couldn't believe it. I was like, these motherfuckers are slick. Cause I was there on Friday. I was working there at the time. I was there on Friday. Everything was normal. And everybody was in on it except me. And I was like, these motherfuckers are slick. They pulled that shit right under my feet. I had no idea. It was on Friday. I knew Sebi was out of town. And Sebi called me like on a Wednesday or Thursday and said, hey, Pablo, I'm going to go down there. I'm going to come to LA because my wife and this other lady that was in charge of the business there were doing some shit behind his back that he found out about. And he goes, I'm going to go down there and deal with it. And I was like, okay. So he said, I'll be there on Monday. I was like, okay, cool. So then Friday, everything was normal. Normal day, nothing out of the ordinary. You know, nobody said shit about anything. So, you know, the weekend went by, and then on Monday, Sebi calls me and he's like, hey, I'm in LA, I'm at the office. He goes, why is nobody here? And I was like, I don't know. It should have been open by now. But I was just down the street. I said, just I'll be there in about 2 minutes. So then when I pulled up, Sebi had asked the maintenance man to jump in through the second floor window so he could open it from the inside. So when I arrived, he was opening the door. And then Sebi and I both walked in at the same time. And we were like, I was like amazed. So during the weekend, that's when they moved all the shit out. They rented these two big U-Haul trucks. Our neighbors told us. They were like, yeah, you know, he was like, I didn't know that you guys were moving. And like, we didn't move. It was a fucking heist. They fucking they took our shit. And then he was like, what? He was like, yeah, they had these, he told us the whole thing. You know, how it went down. And he said that, yeah, everybody, the people that were working there were helping bring all the shit out into the fucking trucks.
Damn.
And I was like, damn, these motherfuckers were in on it. And I didn't know. I was the only one in the whole office that didn't know about it. So they were all in on it.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And so I remember Mr. G had posted a video where he was talking about how you and Jenny got together with him.
Yeah. So then after that, I was like, Sebi, what the fuck are we gonna do now? We don't have shit. So he was like, don't worry about it, man. He goes, I know some people, they'll give us credit and we're going to keep selling and just build another business. And I was like, all right, I like that one. So that's what we did. Within a few months, man, we were kicking ass, bro. The business was fucking booming. It was like overnight. And it lasted 2 years, man, a little over 2 years before. And Sebi was happy as fuck because he didn't have to worry about shit. Me and Jenny were taking care of the business. He didn't have to worry about nothing. He trusted us. We weren't fucking him over in any way, you know, because he had to deal with that throughout his whole life with this business, man. People were always, he told me so many stories about people, what they did, you know, and I'm like, how the fuck did these people do this? Sebi's, you know, everybody loves him.
Yeah.
And he helped everybody. You know, and he was a great man that did not deserve that, you know. So, yeah, that's why Sebi had to cut a lot of these motherfuckers off, because it was like, Sebi was like, that's it, you know. And he would give them chances, you know, he'll give you a chance. Even if you fucked up once or twice, he'll be like, all right, he'll understand. But after a certain point, he was like, nah, just cut you off. That's it. And that's how it was with a lot of these people in his family, you know, and it is what it is. And the thing that I'm saying about my situation in that is that I never had any problem with them at all, any of them.
Yeah.
Before Sebi died, I respected them and I liked them.
Yeah.
You know, Soon as Sebi died, I'm the fucking devil. I'm the bad guy. I don't know shit. All kinds of ridiculous accusations, And I was just like, why? You know? I mean, I never responded. I never even had any confrontation or discussion with them over that.
Yeah.
They would say their shit, and then I just ignore it. Because why? It's not going to be nice.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there. I know what I do. It's about the work. I do the work, and I know what the fuck I'm doing, so that's cool. One of them was saying, yeah, Pablo doesn't know shit, And I'm like, are you serious? You mean I worked with your dad for 20 years and I don't know shit? This guy never even worked with Dr. Sebi. And he says that he knows everything. The fuck? It doesn't make sense.
It seems as though a lot of that noise has kind of calmed down now.
Yeah, it's kind of, the dust has settled, and it's, I'm sure they still feel the same way about it towards me, but it doesn't really matter. What has calmed down is like them putting it out there on social media and things like that, and just telling people the wrong information.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. Primarily is because so many people need help and need healing, and Sebi was like a beacon of hope for so many.
Right.
And then when he passed, then all of these people pop out of nowhere, and now everybody's a healer overnight.
Yeah.
And they're giving out bad information, saying the wrong stuff,
Right.
and tarnishing not just Sebi's reputation, but the reputation of these herbs and nature. Because you got people that say, well, I tried to do the natural route, but I still got cancer.
Right.
And it's because they was working with somebody who don't know nature.
Exactly.
So that just gives this field of healing a bad
A
reputation.
bad rep, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But as long as you have the real ones out there, word is going to get out, And if like I said earlier, eventually is people are going to start, they're going to have to look at it and say, okay, just filter it, filter it out. Who's the real one? Because there's so many fakes out there.
Yeah.
But the truth is out there. So just stay true to it. You'll come out on top, babe.
Question about a few herbs, then we're going to move on. She legit, do you know anything about it? And do you notice how they're promoting it like crazy?
Yeah. I actually don't know much about that one. I've heard about it. I haven't looked much into it. I've never used it. The herbs that we use now are the exact same herbs that we used when Sebi was here. That's another thing I want to say about respond to your question about how the office was, some person was saying that the office was compromised or the products were compromised.
Mm-hmm.
And all I have to say to that is that when Sebi passed, we knew that people were going to have us under the microscope, because Sebi's not there anymore.
Yeah.
And true, Dr. Sebi's family had no ownership in the business that he had.
Yeah.
But there's a reason for that. I won't get into that one just yet, but there's a very good reason why. They can answer it themselves. Maybe I'll let them do it. But since we knew, we're aware, we're in business. We want to keep doing business. We were kicking ass. The business was doing great. Why would we fuck around and change the shit to something that's lesser than what we already have? It's been proven. We already know that. We've been doing it for years. Why would we change it?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense at all. We're in business to succeed. And yeah, these claims were just so ridiculous. And they tried to pay people to say that too. and it was just so ridiculous that I didn't even respond to it. You know?
Yeah, it was comical and sad at the same time.
Yeah.
Another question is, can you tell me some countries that you visited with Sebi and any memories that are learning of herbs in these different countries?
Yeah. Well, we went to Mexico, Honduras, you know, all over the U.S. But yeah, I mean, I learned everywhere I went was Sebi was a learning experience.
Did you guys go to? Yeah, I went to Morocco too, right?
No, we were going to,
Okay.
but then it didn't go through because we needed some visas we didn't have.
Okay.
So we didn't make it there. But we had plans, man. Sebi wanted to go to Africa. We were going to go to Africa and, you know, possibly set up a healing village there. We were planning on setting up a healing village in Mexico as well. And we had big plans, man. And Sebi was happy, man. During those 2 years where we had the business, Sebi was happy because he felt like now that he doesn't have all this bullshit to worry about, he could get to work on the visions and on the goals that he had, you know, to expand the healing, you know, the healing offering that we have, you know, like the services.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it was just tragic what happened.
So that's what I want to get to next. Today is May the 29th, 2025. So can you tell me what happened May the 28th, 2016?
Yes, that was the date that we were arrested in Honduras, in Rotan. And yeah, that's what started. That was the beginning of the end for Sebi. When that initially happened, I was like, I wasn't worried at all because I knew that we were innocent. We hadn't done shit. We were innocent. We didn't do it. We did not commit what we were charged with. It was, I don't know what the reason was, but it was, to me, it seemed like it was because they could do it. One. Two was because they wanted the money that we were carrying. They wanted to hold it for a couple of years, if not forever.
Yeah.
So they're the law. And Honduras is, you know, was very corrupt back then. I don't know about now, but everybody knew what was going on. So there was a lot of shady shit about it. You know, I could go on hours talking about it, but to cut it short, yeah, that was the beginning of the end. And after that, you know, when we first got arrested, you know, Sebi was like changed. So then he mentioned that he wasn't going to get out. Like early on, he mentioned that. And so at first I was like, I wasn't worried. But then as more time went by, I did start worrying more. Because Sebi would always call things. Like he would say, no, it's going to be like this. And that's how it would be. You know? And this one, he was making a call to where I didn't see it. Because I didn't want to see it. You know, I didn't want to accept that I didn't know where the hell we were going to end up, you know? But he felt it, I guess, or he knew it. He could foresee it from the beginning. And as time went by, I started worrying more. I mean, it was fucked up from the beginning because those jails over there in Honduras are nasty. It's nasty, inhumane stuff. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, then when he got sick, then I really started worrying because I could see what he mentioned in the beginning might end up like that.
Yeah.
And then he just progressively got worse and worse, and then we lost him.
So you would you were there when you, like, he died August the 6th.
Right.
What were you doing when you found out?
When I found out,
Yeah.
well, I was with him that morning, and he was at like during those last 3 days, it was really bad. I mean, he couldn't even speak. You know how he had like the strong voice? It wasn't like that no more, man. You couldn't even understand what he was saying sometimes, and he couldn't even like sit up on his own. So, you know, that morning it was a visiting day, so I went to get my hair cut, and then while I was doing that, somebody came and told me that he had passed. So when I went over there, somebody was already carrying him out, taking him out, and he was gone. So that was it. And that was like a scary moment, man, because this whole time we had each other, you know, and now I was really alone in this foreign prison, you know, and it was an experience that was really hard to deal with, you know, because I didn't know what the outcome. I mean, you know, just from Sebi passing was like traumatic,
Yeah.
and then I had to still deal with my situation now. What was gonna happen to me? You know, was I gonna make it out? You know, was I gonna be in there for decades or years or whatever? You know. So in all, I ended up being in there for 5.5 months. Sebi passed 2.5 months after being in there, and then I was released 3.5 months after that, which was a total of 5.5 for me. So yeah, that's pretty much the
November 6th?
what.
That's when you got out?
I don't remember the exact date. I think it was November 6th. It was in November.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it was at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just said they dropped the charges, or?
Well, they not necessarily. My lawyers made a deal with the courts to where the case is still going to be under investigation, supposedly, and it's not closed yet. Because that way they could keep the money that they confiscated.
Yeah.
So they said, yeah, we could let him go, but they didn't want to let go of the money. So in order for that to happen, they had to keep the case open. So supposedly it was still under investigation, but they let me out.
Ooh.
And it wasn't settled until like several years later.
Is it true?
But I'm in the clear now. I've been back to Honduras since then.
Okay.
Yeah, but it like maybe like 6 or 7 years went by that I didn't go.
Is it true that they offered Sebi to get out and he wouldn't leave without you?
I heard that, but I didn't see it. I heard that they said that. One of the policemen told me that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of details to that whole ordeal, man. You know. But like I said, maybe that's gonna have to be in another episode.
I'm just glad you made it up out that motherfucker, man.
Yeah,
'Cause,
no.
Again, man, you always been good to me. Like,
Thank
I
you.
try to, cause my mom, she's like, you talk to Pablo? She always ask about you. And I was like, Mom, he's important. I said, I can only send him a message every year or two. I was like, cause I've been in entertainment for so long that I know not to bother important
Nah,
people.
man, I'm always happy to hear from you, bro. I follow you on Facebook and I see your posts, you know, but I'm not active on that. I don't reply to or comment or anything like that on
Yeah.
social media. I just stay away. But I'm there though. You know, I still see and hear everything. So I'm down with you, bro. You know, so anytime, I'm always happy to hear from you. Whatever I can do for you, you know, I can assist in any way.
I appreciated it, and like even when I hit you, anytime I hit you up, you hit me back, man. And even just coming out here, it means the world to me, bro. And I can't even thank you enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thanks for having me. You know,
Yeah, we got
it's
to tell
been-
your story, man, because a lot of people's like, man, I don't believe some of that shit. Because one of the reasons I wanted you on is because I got friends and fans who they follow my work, but it's so many people that are skeptics, and I wanted you to
Yeah.
kind of dispel all of that. Not so much about the drama, what happened with Sebi and his passing and stuff, but just literally knowing this man was legitimate. He actually was healing people.
Yeah, he was the real deal, because it's not only the herbs that heal you, man. You know, herbs are only one part. It's love that helps in that healing. You know, you need to throw that in there too. You can't have hate and expect to heal. You know, and you can't be offensive and, you know, mean or whatever and say you're a healer.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't go with it. Sebi had it down from every aspect of healing. He was funny as fuck. You know, laughter is medicine too.
Yeah.
That's another thing I say. Hey man, comedians are healers too, because they make you feel good. A good laugh will heal you, man, in a lot of ways. Just like stress can kill you, laughter can heal you. The opposite of stress is laughter, joy. This is what comedians bring for us,
Yeah.
you know? So you're on the good road, bro. That's why I support you, you know?
Well, thank you. And we're gonna wrap up now. Any last words? Anything you want to offer to people who are learning about healing and herbs and food, like what to eat, what not to eat, what hybrids to avoid, water, anything that you want to leave us with?
Just inform yourselves with common sense. You know, learn about it. You know, Dr. Sebi's teachings is a good basis to start from, because after that, basically, just don't mess with the hybrids.
And what's a hybrid for people who don't know?
Is plants or fruits or vegetables that have been manipulated by man to become a certain way or to create something totally different. Those things nature did not provide, you know, and we were designed to go with what is already there, you know. It's okay to take care of plants and, you know, nurture them and whatever, but the real stuff is where nobody messes with it. It just comes out on its own.
Yeah.
That's the real stuff. So do the best you can, you know. See what works for you. Get to know yourself. And that's where it's at. That's how I did it. And it worked for me. So I'm just passing it on.
All right. Well, you heard from the man himself, the legend, Pablo Medina. Look, this your boy Willie Lynch Jr., man. Another dope episode with a legend sitting right across from me. All the way live with Willie Lynch Jr., man. We out, man. See y'all when we see y'all. 2 fingers, no prints.